Hey everyone, welcome to Sound Moves podcast about real estate in the Puget Sound region and sound advice for your life. I'm Paul Graff, the host, and this is my video series where I introduce you to a real estate agent that I love to refer people to around the country. Today I get to introduce you to Kristen Helgesen Anderson, who's a real estate agent with Nexthome Neighbors in Tyler, Texas. So we
Thank
originally
you.
met through Believers Breakfast at the BUFFINI Masterclass in Dallas, which is put on by Eddie Poole, who many of you have already heard on one of my podcasts too. Kristen has been in the business for about 20 years now. So welcome,
Right.
Kristen.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here and appreciate you offering to introduce me to your audience.
Yeah. So why don't you give us a brief background of who you are, where you grew up, what other jobs you've had, and your family and things like that.
Okay, sure. So as you mentioned, I'm about to start my 20th year in real estate,
Yeah.
which is kind of hard to believe because when you love what you do, time flies and just goes by
Yeah.
really fast, even with the ups and downs and trials and victories. But I grew up in California
Okay.
and spent my whole life there and got married right after college. And our honeymoon was driving to Tyler, Texas. So
Wow.
we thought we would be here for a couple years as young marrieds trying to find our careers. And my husband got a teaching job. We within 8 months, we moved into a group home and fostered 10 kids at
Wow.
the age of almost 22. I was actually 21 when I started and
Okay.
24. So that's kind of crazy that they trusted us with that. But
Wow.
that was a
That's
wild
such a cool
experience.
thing.
We loved it.
I love that
Yeah.
idea. Yeah.
That it was second grade was the youngest and went through. We had an 18 and 19-year-old who were in our little independent living duplex that were in junior college. So we went
Okay.
from elementary school to junior college. And that was awesome. We did that for a couple of years. And then my husband and I both at different times went into administration. So we had our residential child care license administration or administration license. And we're the campus directors there when we moved
Wow.
off
Okay.
campus and started our own family. And so we were I ended up being at Children's Village in Tyler, Texas for about 8 or 9 years. And that was really it's a great memory and an awesome opportunity to really like daily have impact on people and
Yeah.
try to, yeah. So that was good. And then after that, our family started to grow. We have 3 boys. Right now they are 24. My oldest is married and lives in Spokane. He's finishing up graduate
Oh,
school there. My
nice.
my middle
My
son is,
state.
yes, that's right. He's 20 and he goes to school in California at the Masters University. And then my youngest is 18 and he's a freshman at LeTourneau University just down the road in Longview, Texas. So
Okay.
our 3 boys were born and raised right here in Tyler. We ended up staying more than a couple years.
Yeah.
And yes, and then just raised them here. And this is our first year as empty nesters. So
Excellent.
anyways, I got into real estate when I had a newborn. Literally, as I was taking my real estate license test, I could hear my husband pacing outside of the building with a crying newborn wanting to be fed. So I had a newborn and a toddler and a kindergartner. And
Wow.
it was just an awesome opportunity, very much in my comfort zone because I'm a third generation realtor. So my
Okay.
grandfather was a realtor
Nice.
and broker, mostly farm and ranch and residential in California,
Yeah.
where I grew up. I didn't say where. I'm from the Central Valley of California, where they
Okay.
grow everything from cows to citrus and pitted fruits and now almonds. So near Fresno and Visalia area. But my parents did real estate on the side. They did investing. They had their license, broker's license, sales license. And so off and on throughout the years, as a kid, we would be hauled off to work on a rental property on the weekend. And they
Okay.
would say, if you want to go on vacation this summer, you're going to paint this house. So it's
That's
very much a
cool.
family affair. Yeah. So
Yep.
I got my license because I was needing to start a new career to go out of the nonprofit world,
Hmm.
be a mom. So I had these 3 littles. And I think I didn't know it at the time, but in hindsight, I was just raised with an entrepreneurial spirit. and a lot of grit and hardworking. So I actually got my feet wet and decided to get my license after family members asked me to manage a few of their rental properties.
Ah,
So,
okay.
yes, family from California bought a few rental properties here and said, why don't you manage these? They said, we'll pay you the going rate, because if you don't like it, we have to hire someone else to do it. And I said, well, okay. So I have been doing that for more than 20 years. And so
Okay.
then I realized, hey, I can really grow this. This is a great thing to do while I'm, in between picking up kids from school and babies are down for a nap. And then at night I would go to work and do the bookkeeping and accounting and that kind of thing when they were in
Yep.
bed. And I thought, well, I could really be out there helping people buy and sell and doing the sales part of it too.
Uh-huh.
So that's how I got my start. And I would load up the kids in the minivan and we would go look at really dirty, gross rental properties. And I would try to keep them from rolling around on the floor. And but they're boys. And that's how it started. So
Wow.
managed a lot. The word got out to our local family and friends back in California right before their big bust. And they said,
Mhm.
well, we could sell one property here and buy two in Tyler. So
Wow.
that's how I got started and started to build up my clientele, was through selling those investment properties.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Very
I
cool.
didn't realize it later. I'm looking down here at some of your questions, and I think that I took for granted that I would have some special knowledge to be able to offer people later, because I had that niche market of doing rentals. Because a lot of agents can say, oh yeah, it would rent for this much. But if they're not really in the daily activities of renting and leasing, do they really know what it would,
Right.
or what kind of rent they could get, what would the fix up cost, and things like
Mhm.
that. So that's what we do. So now 20 years later, we have this full scale sales business. I
Uh-huh.
have a small team, and we also manage about 70 rental properties.
Wow. Okay. I did
Yeah,
not
yeah.
know that about your business, so that's
Yes,
cool.
yes, yeah. We enjoy it. We enjoy it. I mean, it's just even more. It's relationships.
Mhm.
Some people might think it's a nightmare, and it's one reason that we haven't wanted to grow that into a big. Lots of property management companies have
Uh-huh.
hundreds or thousands. That would not be fun for us, and
Right.
so we like to keep it manageable. We like to keep a small staff, but it really helps us provide very customized service to our property owners and investors.
Mhm.
But we also get to, with boundaries, but build a little bit of a relationship with the tenants too, to the point that when they needed to move on to a different property, they say, okay, I need you to find me one of your other houses, because I'm
Mhm.
done with this house, but I want to stay with you guys. So
Okay.
that's a good compliment.
What kind of rental properties do you deal with? Is it all single family homes, or do you have like multifamily?
Most of them are single family. We probably have about 6 or 7 duplexes, but Tyler does not have a lot of multifamily. Like,
Okay.
some of my out of state people say, I'd like you to find me a small apartment building, because I know that's available in other places. We do not have a lot of those.
Okay.
Uh, and so most of them are single family, and a lot of people want duplexes. There's just not as many of them available. So we look at everything and break down the best, rate of return. And also, do you want to think about appreciation or cash flow more, because that's going to be
Right.
different.
Yeah.
Duplex.
It makes a big difference for investors. Yeah.
Yes,
Certain
yes,
areas of the country do really well on equity and build up the
yes.
value, and others just do good for cash flow. So,
That's right. Yep,
yep.
yep.
Very
That's right.
cool.
Yeah.
So, as I mentioned earlier, our first connection was through a Brian Buffini event in Dallas. What do you like about the Brian Buffini system?
Well, working by referral,
Mhm.
for sure, and just the constant. I did when I was introduced to Buffini, it was a natural fit, because I think, well, I was already very relational and had never like paid for leads or advertised on billboards or anything like
Mhm.
that. That was very foreign to me. So it was just all relationship based and built up to that point. What I really liked about their program, besides just the energy and the synergy and the motivation, which is a big thing that I enjoy is the systematizing of those things.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So to just have things in place to make it, consistent, that we're doing calls, notes, and pop-bys consistently. And then the second thing I would say is just to have the synergy with other agents across the country. I
Yeah.
mean, even like on the big Facebook page, there's, thousands of agents that I don't know personally, but once you start going to events, you recognize faces and
Mhm.
names, and then you start meeting people. And I really do feel like I'm a part of a group, even as large it is,
Right.
because we're so like-minded. It's not
Mhm.
like a bunch of people just going to a conference.
Right.
It's, I mean, it might require a little Kool-Aid drinking, but
Yeah.
you're with people that like the same flavor of Kool-Aid, right?
Yeah.
So it's just encouraging, and it kind of keeps me focused and on the right track.
Excellent. Well, what do you offer your clients to stand out from the competition?
Well, two things I can think of. One is, I kind of mentioned before, is I have the knowledge of the investment property
Mhm.
world. Not just rentals, but my husband and I have also flipped a lot of properties
Okay.
before it was cool on HGTV. And so, we've lost money and we've made money. And so I'm happy to share with people the mistakes that we've made, the
Uh,
successes that we've made, and looking at current market conditions and advising them. So I do see myself an advisor. I like to give advice. Sometimes I have to like hold it back and if until I know that they want it. Um, so that would be one thing, of just really understanding that market and how that works. And then the second thing is just offering people a very personalized and customized experience all the way through. So I mentioned I have a small team,
mhm.
and I don't pass people off. So even if my team partner and I are going to help serve somebody together, they're going to get both of us
Uh,
all the way through. So it's not like I just take a listing and the other person does the buyers. It's kind of all together. And so my team is structured as support staff,
okay.
as opposed to just buyers agents, just listing agents. We don't do that. So we don't ever want people to feel passed off.
Uh,
Sometimes people's personality jive with one of us more than the other, and so
yep.
they always call that person first, and we pick up on that. But you're going to get us all the way through, and then you don't get rid of us after the closing.
Right.
We're going to be around for a long time. And so because we have that experience in the rental property world, you should see our little black book of contractors. We have people for everything.
Okay.
And we can get on the phone and say, so and so has an emergency. Can you bump them up to the top of your list? And kind of,
Nice.
even that is personalized. It's not
Mhm.
it's not just going to the yellow pages or to Google,
Right.
but it's saying, hey, call this guy at the flooring store and ask him for Kristen's special rate. You know what I mean? So we want to be a resource for people for a lot of years to come. And then we do that because it's natural and we love it, but we also would like them to refer their friends and family to
Yep.
us.
I love doing that too. Like if you're always the first person they think about when they need something,
Yes.
it's just
Yeah,
another touch point you have with them.
that's
And
right.
then hopefully the people you're referring are doing good work for them too.
Yeah, yeah. I would say that's probably one of the biggest things that we do when we are just connecting with people we haven't talked to in a long time. Is there anything you need? Do you need a referral? Do you need a contractor? Do you need a dentist or someone to cut your hair? Or, what's your,
Yeah.
need a flower shop, whatever it is. We want, and if we don't know, then we're going to go find out for them.
Yep. So how big is your team?
Well, we're just 3 people.
Just three?
So yes, yes. So I have a licensed agent, Melissa
Uh,
Hobson, that works with me,
right.
and she works on both sides, the sales and the property management. We have an administrative assistant, Lacey Garner, who does all things marketing for us and is part-time because she's got littles at home, but extremely
Okay.
talented.
Okay.
And I take that back. We have 4. Besides myself, we have Dan, who is our operations manager, handling all the maintenance calls for property management.
Okay.
He's kind of
Yeah.
on call for that.
Yeah. Nice. I'd love to
Let
get a
me let
team.
me also clarify one thing real quick because people get confused. So I'm part of Nexthome Neighbors, which is an awesome brokerage here in Tyler. That we probably have about 15 full-time agents. but they allow us to form teams within that and to
Mhm.
market and advertise ourselves. So our team is called Chris and Mel Realty Group for Kristen and
Okay.
Melissa. And so we are Chris and Mel Realty Group team under Nexthome Neighbors Brokerage.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Let's talk a bit about Tyler. I didn't have this in the questions, but
Okay.
what do you
Sure.
like about Tyler, Texas? What kind of
Wow.
things are like if somebody is moving down to Texas, why would they move to Tyler as opposed to Dallas? What kind of things does it
Yeah.
offer? Because it's not far away. I mean,
Right.
it's like an hour drive, right? So,
Yes. Yes. Great question. So Tyler is like the biggest small town you've ever seen. It really has a small town feel. We
uh-huh.
have a downtown square. We've got our historic district called the Azalea District, where I'm looking out right now outside the window at the brick streets of
Nice.
the Azalea District. So homes built in the 20s, 30s, 40s. And then as you move out, you get the homes built in the 50s, 60s that are ranch style, mid-century, and then farther out you go, the newer you get. And so we're at about, I want to say 110,000. It's hard to trust the 2020 census. But we're about 110,000,
Okay.
which seems on the small side, but we have about 350,000 people that come to town every day for work, play, medical, and education. We
Wow.
have a branch of the UT system, UT Tyler, which
Mhm.
is a four-year university that's growing like crazy, just moved up to Division II for athletics. They
Okay.
have huge engineering nursing programs. We have Tyler Junior College that's over 100 years old,
Wow.
and a couple other colleges in town. We have two really big and successful medical systems, the UT Health and Christus Trinity Mother Francis. They're right next door to each other. Like literally their emergency rooms are a couple hundred yards apart. And they're both awesome and they have their own specialties. So lots of times I know in some towns there's the bad hospital and the good hospital, but they're both great.
Uh-huh.
We're also the county seat. We have a federal court. So there's lots of law and government happening here. We have a little bit of industry like Train Air Conditioning Systems has a plant here.
Okay.
Target Distribution is not too far away. Tyler
Wow.
Pipe is a
Okay.
steel mill. Yeah, so there's a lot of great things to come here for. It's a great place to raise a family. It's hard to describe. I mean, we think it's awesome, but it truly is.
Mhm.
And it's okay. Moving from California, which I miss a few things about California 30 years ago. We are green about 9 months out of the year. And
Okay.
we have big pine trees. We're called the piney woods or the pine curtain.
Okay.
And so I know you have a lot of green year round,
We do.
but we're
But there
we're
are
more
other
flat.
areas of Texas that do not.
Yes, we do not have the mountains that you have. We have rolling hills, beautiful pasture countryside, but we have hardwoods and oaks and
Okay.
pines and just lots and lots of green and big trees.
Nice.
Lots of lakes, and so that's our outdoor recreation, hunting, lakes, and things like that. But
Excellent.
barbecue.
Excellent.
Texas barbecue.
So what kinds of events do you put on for your clients?
Well, that was one of my goals this year is to do a few more events.
Okay.
We started the pie pickup a couple of years ago, which a lot of people do now, and that's great. It's kind of down to a science.
Mhm.
It's nice when you get an event that you can just put on repeat.
Yeah.
But we did one really fun one this year that was like we called it Pokio's in the Park. And Pokio's is an ice cream sandwich truck. I don't know if
Okay.
anyone's ever heard of that. It is a little franchise, but it's like a truck and they make ice cream sandwiches and so with homemade cookies. And so we just did it in the park.
Huh.
And it was hot. I mean, it is hot here. And it was August, but it was kind of at end of the summer, about a week to 10 days before school started on a Wednesday night, I think. And it was just lovely. People had so much fun. And it wasn't that much work. We made a cute graphic. We texted it out to everybody. We did not ask for RSVPs. We actually ran out of cookies and ice cream. So we're going to have
Wow.
a
Nice.
backup plan next year, a bucket of popsicles or something. But it was, I mean, who doesn't want to run out of things at their events, you know?
Yeah.
So that was super successful and very exciting. And, obviously people with the kids came out and people that lived in that area came out. And I had a few of my best referrers text me before and say, so can we invite our friends and neighbors? I said, well, sure. So we actually got some new friends out of that
Yeah.
we can follow up with now and see if we can serve them or their referrals later.
Nice.
Um, and then the other thing we did in May, which was the first time that was a great success that we'll do it again, is it was kind of like my low commitment practice event.
Uh-huh.
And we put on an appreciation luncheon for all of our contractors.
Okay.
So for all the people that
Excellent.
we do for rental properties and that we refer to our buyers that,
Yeah.
we've got this or that, we had a taco lunch and we
Wow.
just, it's so easy and so fun and they loved it. And I can't wait to do that one again
I
next
love
May.
that idea.
Yeah. So that was fun. That was fun. And we're hoping to do, I mean, things that are simple that I've heard about that I'd like to repeat are just like a coffee drive-through,
Uh-huh.
where it's just the texting the graphic out is easy
Yeah.
because they don't have to RSVP. Even if they don't come, you're giving them a warm fuzzy
Yeah.
by seeing
Yeah.
cute from you and inviting them.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I like about that is sometimes I stall out in the planning process and I think things have to be perfect and what have I not thought about? But if I just say like, you know what, in 2 weeks or less, maybe 1 week, we're going to do this coffee thing. And I have somebody that can make a graphic and we can spend an hour texting it to people.
Mhm.
That's all it takes. And
Yep.
then you write a little check at the end. So, and then one other idea, if you want ideas, is a local car wash that's locally owned and operated, but to do the same thing like that and say, hey, come in during these hours,
Mm.
show them this text, car wash on us.
Nice.
Yeah,
I love those ideas.
yeah.
So
Thank
fun
you.
sharing ideas through other agents on this.
I
So
agree. I
that's
agree.
cool. What about one or two stories of some great impact that real estate has had on some of your clients that you've been able to participate in?
Oh man. Well, let's see. Um, I've I'm thinking of just general things. I would say the impact
Huh?
on me. um,
That's fine.
just being able to because when I started um helping investors, we were scraping by,
Uh-huh.
and I just thought, well, property management would be able to give me a little bit of a steady
Uh-huh.
income. So I'm sure we
Yeah.
can pay the light bill every month. And then as we got going a little bit, I thought I would like to have a rental property for each of my kids to help pay for college. Well, those were great ideas that
Uh,
should come to fruition
yeah.
because of life. And that was back in the day where they were giving loans to people with a heartbeat, with, stated income loans, a good credit score. And there was not enough, with a broken AC or vacancy. It was just, crunch time. So we did not keep those rental properties, but over the years, we've been able to slowly pick them up, just a couple for us
Mhm.
personally. Um, and because I'm self-employed and my husband's a teacher, but he's taught in different places, so he's not just set up with the state for retirement. I feel like we have a little bit of retirement set up to do that, and not.
Nice.
It's a blessing to me because it doesn't. It's not so scary like it is for other people.
Uh-huh.
I mean, there are times where it's like, oh, we really need a new AC over here, but we don't have the extra money to put into it. But I know that the long term, it's like making a deposit into long-term savings.
Yep.
And so,
Fantastic.
yeah, so to get us to this point of just being able to, the idea was that they would be paid off by the time each kid was in college and the cash flow would pay for it. And that didn't happen.
Nice.
But it's helped us to be able to put our kids through college. And
Yep.
then hopefully when they're done in a few years, then we can really think about maximizing our however many last working years or decade and
Uh-huh.
saving for retirement. So
Nice.
yeah.
What is your husband teaching right now?
He teaches art
Okay.
at the local public high school. Yep. He
Nice.
was there when our kids were there, so that was kind of fun.
Very cool. So, what about some favorite books, movies, or quotes that inspire you?
Okay, sure. I was thinking about that, and movies. I don't watch a lot of them just because as a family we don't watch a lot of movies, um, but my husband teases me that I could just sit down and watch them over and over. It's like watching a new
Mhm.
movie every time because we're not a big movie family. Um, some of the classics that we do enjoy watching together is, I mean, like Rudy is up there. We cannot watch a segment of it without coming to tears. I don't know how we always flip onto the part that makes me cry, but we have
Yep.
that. Um, or Sweet Home Alabama probably is another favorite just for a mindless one. But for books, again, I listen to a lot of books on Audible.
Uh-huh.
I just thinking of recent ones, I um have listened to soundtracks,
Okay.
and that really resonated with me, especially the first half of the book. And so I'm looking forward to going back and
Yeah.
re-listening to a lot. Have you read that one or listened to that one?
John Acuff? No,
Yes.
I've read 4 of his other books, but
Okay.
that
Okay.
is one I'd like to get a hold of. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, soundtracks was really good, and it's really good for me, and then it's also good for me to help me with my young adult kids,
Mhm.
who are just learning how to live outside of our home,
Yeah.
and so there's a lot of good nuggets there, I think, that
Yep.
can be broken down and help them. I am a quote junkie because I feel like in our world we get a lot of good quotes.
We
You know what I
do.
mean? So
Yeah.
I kind of keep a running list on our phone or on my phone on my notes. The one that I just picked to share with you today. This is not life changing, but it really resonated with me recently, and it actually came from the little, I don't know what to call it, but the person leading the workout on the video somewhere
Okay.
out there in the internet. But they said, don't cry that you have a lot on your plate if your goal was to eat.
Huh.
Meaning you signed up for this,
Yep.
you want a lot of business, you want success, you want to do these things. So we can't complain about those
Exactly.
things.
Yep.
So and then I thought about that afterwards, like how does that really apply? Because I don't want to be hair on fire, crazy person all the time.
Uh-huh.
So there are times that we have to take things off of our plate. But just things that I picked up from Buffini kind of as a follow-up to that are just that every time we say yes to something, we say no to something else.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's great to say yes to things.
Mhm.
But I sometimes I have to stop and think, well, what am I gonna have to give up to do this other thing?
Mhm.
You know
Yep.
what I mean? So
Just be
and
selective.
then
Yeah.
what's that?
You have to be very selective with
Yes,
it. Yeah.
yes. And then I've had two coaches at Buffini, both are awesome. Um, and I one of them told me when I'm just kind of was complaining about my weaknesses and the things that I didn't get done. I'm a very like busy person all the time, but but I sometimes take on too much, so I'm
Yeah.
just kind of running from one thing to another. And complaining about what wasn't getting done, and they said we do the things that are important to us. That sounds very common sense, but if I take a step back and say, well, why is it always hard for me to get my taxes to the accountant before April 15th, and here I am at October 15th, and
Yeah.
it is important to me, and I can say that, but I'm not doing it year after year. And what I'm doing other things consistently. And I have to go, okay, those other things are more important to me. That's not necessarily wrong, but I just need to recognize it. And if I need to reprioritize things, then I need to take a step back
Yeah.
and move them up and down the ladder of my time priority.
Right. Good. Good advice. So where can people go to find you?
Okay. Well, we have a website, Chris
Uh-huh.
and Mel realtygroup.com. So
Excellent.
KRISANDMEL. And then we're also at our brokerage website, which is nexthomeneighbors.com. You can follow us on Instagram and Facebook,
Okay.
Chris and Mel Realty Group. And my email is Kristen, Kristen, at KristenMelRealtyGroup.com.
Excellent. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
This has been a lot of fun chatting with you again today.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
yeah.
Thanks for listening to all my stories.
I think it's fantastic to share these. It's
Yeah.
encouragement to other
Thank
people
you.
and all that
Thank
kind
you.
of stuff. So thanks for joining me today. And if anybody is listening and has somebody that they know it's moving to Tyler, Texas, you need to get in touch with Kristen.
Thank you so much. We serve what we call Greater Tyler area. So
Uh-huh.
there's other small towns around us: Lindale, Bullard, White House, Longview.
Yeah,
So any of east of Dallas.
right.
Okay.
That's so
Thank
cool.
you, Paul. I
Great
appreciate you so much.
chat. Take care.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye.